I want to record this, something very important. You see, when you walk fully covered on the streets, what is happening is that at the back of your mind, you are not covered. At the back of your mind, you feel vulnerable. And so, on the outside, you cover. So what if you now remove your clothes outside? What is happening? Inside you, you will feel strong. But outside you, you might feel vulnerable. But the important part of it is that you're feeling strong inside you. Simple. But few people realize it. So, if you walk on the streets well dressed, you feel vulnerable inside you. But if you're not that well dressed outside on the streets, you are more stronger inside you. Now this is important, and I felt this way, and I understood this way, because yesterday an extraordinary thing happened to me. I realized that there's a voice or pulsation inside me. This pulsation, which is inside, and you can't feel it outside you, but which is inside a part of you, if you can hear that pulsation, what is happening is that you are deeper than the pulsation. You wouldn't be able to hear if you are not deeper than the pulsation. Okay? So, if you can hear the pulsation, and the pulsation I meant is the breath, a very mysterious breath, which is the voice of God. Okay. If you can hear the voice of God, or the breath, or the pulsation, that means what you are is deeper than the pulsation. Okay. So, if you can hear the pulsation very, very strong, do you know what that means? So what is inside must be very, very uncovered. And if it's uncovered, that means you must be strong. What you want to achieve is a very strong me. And the deeper the me and the stronger the me, you feel more complete, wholesome, and willful, and fulfilled. What's important, therefore, is the me. And that me which is deep inside you is very strong. Okay? So if that me inside you is covered, said before, if you cover it, that means you feel vulnerable. Right? Correct. So if the deep me inside you is covered, then what is happening is that the deep me inside is vulnerable. Moreover, if the deep me inside you is covered, you may probably not be able to hear the pulsation, the breath, the voice speaking to you. To hear the voice speaking to you, you have to uncover yourself. You have to be so strong inside, uncovered, to be able to just realize the vibration, the strong being, the voice that is speaking to you all the time. Let me summarize it, make it clearer. When you have a conversation with your friend, do you hear your friend all the time? If you are obsessed with yourself? No. If you are obsessed with what you are seeing from outside, you will not hear the other guy's conversation because you want to express yourself and you want to make a show of yourself. So very often you'll be looking at your own speeches rather than the speech of the other party. So that's what I meant when I said that if you do not weaken yourself, that means to say if you don't uncover yourself, you probably will not hear the voice of the other party. Because to hear the voice of the other party, you make the other party stronger so that you could hear his voice and not be totally concerned with your own self-covering. In other words, a man who is covering himself cannot hear the voice of the one speaking to himself. Cannot. Okay, so let's go deeper now. So if you want to hear the voice of God, yes, if you want to hear the deep inner pulsation within you, you cannot cover the deeper me inside. If you cover the deeper me inside, you cannot hear that pulsation, that voice of God speaking to you all the time. So let's look at it this way, therefore. You must uncover the deeper me. Then you can realize the voice of God speaking to you. When you uncover the deeper me, that's what it means. When it's written in the Bible, Adam and Eve was naked and yet not ashamed. They did not cover themselves. And because of that, they could hear each other. They could hear the voice on the other side. They could hear the voice of God speaking to them. They could become one flesh. When was the point when Adam and Eve chose to cover themselves? When they entered into space-time. When they ate the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. When they could see the difference between the beginning and the end. When they saw space and they saw time. Suddenly they realized they are one side of a two. That's right. And there's a tremendous fear at that moment of time. So immediately they cover themselves. What are they covering from? Okay, if they were the beginning, they cover themselves from the end. If they were the end, they cover themselves from the beginning. Because the other side of themselves push in strongly in space-time. And as a result, they could not remain naked. And when they could not remain naked, the tragedy was they could not hear the voice of God in the Garden of Eden. The tragedy is that they have lost their own being. So in other words, that's what they call sin. But actually they didn't really sin. They just lost connection with the deep enemy. I close this video. See, the voice of God is actually truly your own breath. It is the me at its strongest level. So connecting with the voice of God is connecting with the strongest me at the deepest level. But to connect with that, a man must not be covered. That's right. Your deeper me must not be covered. And this is not an easy thing, but it must not be covered. In other words, you must totally open yourself. You must allow yourself to suffer based. You must remain naked at all times. That's right. Then you can hear the pulsation in you. Then you can hear the voice of God. You can hear the being that is yourself. That's right. You can hear the breath that is meing all the time. This is awesome. This is being God. This is enlightenment. Enlightenment is not about removing thoughts. Enlightenment is not about being thoughtless. Enlightenment is about being me. The very presence uniting with the breath of God inside you. That's what it means when God told Israel that on the 50th day you must stand there and hear the voice of God. That is the ultimate. If you cannot hear the voice of God, if you run away from that voice, you have not found the liberation that you desire. It was Moses only who was able to do so. The others were telling Moses, no, you hear the voice of God, but we hear from you. But Moses wasn't afraid. He went into the darkness where God was. What was written was, he went into the darkness. What does it mean? That's right, he was able to remain uncovered, even when the voice of God was speaking to him. In that uncoveredness, the true me is revealed. The voice of God was speaking to him, and yet he remained uncovered. Do you know what that means? That means that the deepest part of me does not feel vulnerable, but feels very strong, so that he could remain uncovered, even when the breath was speaking to him. And must remember, breath is not outside, breath is already inside him. But yet, when the inside of him was communicating with the deeper inside of him, he wasn't afraid. He remained uncovered. And this is enlightenment. This is the I am, meeting the I am. The outside I am is the breath. The deep inside I am is the presence, the one unity.